Hey, Bible lovers, I'm Tim Nichols, and I am here with Vitaly of SDG Rebinds, and we are going to be talking about some pretty awesome stuff today. But first, just start off by introducing yourself.
Good to meet you, Tim. I'm originally from Ukraine. Our family immigrated to the United States way back in 1997, but I grew up mostly in Oregon, spent a little bit of time in Los Angeles, a little bit more about that later. And yeah, I'm excited to do rebinding for the glory of God. That's what SDG stands for, and I'm happy to produce that for people who need it.
Amen. Amen. And I just got to see some examples of your work, which we'll talk about in a minute. It's pretty remarkable. Your stitch work, I think, is probably, I don't know anybody that beats your stitch work. The way you're able to have those singe marks are, I finally found them, by the way. I finally found them. I
Yeah,
studied, I was like,
they're there for sure.
two little bitty tiny dots. I was like, wow, that's pretty well hidden. But speaking of rebinding, how did you get into this thing? What got this started?
So it all actually started with getting into hiking and backpacking with a friend of mine way back in like 2015, 2014, got interested in outdoor activities, watching videos of guys who would make some accessories out of leather, and was just looking for a hobby. And in 2016, kind of started a leatherworking hobby, making items like axe and knife sheaths, belt pouches, just little accessories for outdoor activities. Eventually got into other things, making gun sheaths or gun cases, wallets, leather journals. Those became a popular thing for, especially for like birthday gifts for my friends and family. And eventually people just were started asking and paying money for like, hey, can you make this? How much would this be? So I guess that kind of showed me that my work was decent enough for people to pay for it.
Hmm.
And just kind of kept doing that for a couple of years as I was working a full-time job, had extra time, using that as a hobby and not really to make any money whatsoever. But then it really changed in 2019. In January of 2019, I moved to Los Angeles to attend the master's seminary. And my plan was when after I moved to start to kind of turn my leatherworking, leather craft hobby into a job, into like a financial income. And so later that year, the summertime, I started that, just making wallets, belts, anything out of leather to support myself, a poor seminary student. I don't think there's any rich seminary students out there. And eventually, someone asked about getting a Bible rebound, and I did a couple Bibles, not real rebinds, just kind of like retreads, putting new leather over old covers. And I said yes. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll try it. I watched some videos. There wasn't much out there in 2019. Some time lapse. I just looked at the pictures and just tried to reverse engineer, kind of looking at a rebind, thinking, how would I make it with the tools I have, the skills I know, using my mind to reverse engineer. Like I studied physics in college as my undergraduate, so I kind of have a mind to understand how things work. And so just looking at pictures and how things are done and trying to figure out, okay, how can I accomplish this with the tools and the skills that I have, and just learning from that. And so my first rebind, like real rebind, was in October of 2019, so almost 5 years ago.
Okay.
And the person like that, other people started asking about it. And so really kind of beginning of 2020, most of my business was coming from Bible rebinding. Later that year in 2020, when COVID hit, it's kind of a challenging time for everyone, not sure what to do. But I found the Bible group pages on Facebook and started kind of showing my work there and getting more people interested, reaching out to me, getting Bibles done. And really, that's kind of how I made it through 2020, through the Bible groups on Facebook.
Yeah.
In 2021, um, a friend of mine helped me shoot a kind of a more detailed video about my whole rebinding process. And that really launched basically more people getting interested immediately after that. And so in 2021, I had like 2 to 3 months out on Bible rebinds.
Okay.
And when I graduated seminary in 2021, moved back to my home church in Oregon, I understood that I didn't have to go and like take a full-time job that would keep me away from ministry. I could keep doing Bible rebinding and be the boss of my own time, have the flexibility. And really, that's kind of what I've been doing since then. And also another important, in 2021, later and towards the end of the year, I officially switched from SDG leather goods to SDG rebinds,
Mhm.
uh, because I was doing primarily rebinds, and that's what I'm focusing on right now. So it's kind of interesting. Some people have some of my older rebinds that still have SDG leather goods stamped on the inside and the back, and those are kind of rare gems.
Yeah.
Some people have some of the early ones. And basically, ever since that, that's what I've been doing. It allows me the flexibility to take the time off as needed, say to prepare for a sermon or to be involved in some church activity. I'm not kind of limited by my own time. And then I can work late into the evenings or on weekends, whenever I find time to do that. My first rebinds weren't the best, but I just kept going, persevering, and eventually got to where I'm at right now.
Seems like 2020 was a big year for a lot of not only craftsmen, but for reviewers like myself. That's when a lot of us came in. I came in early 2020. Tim Wildsmith came in 2020, and it just seems like there was an explosion. But with all that said, also since then, there has been an explosion of rebinders. Like when you started, there couldn't have been too many. Today, it is crazy the amount of rebinders there are. So, just hot take, how do you feel this explosion of rebinders has been on the industry itself? Do you think it's brought more light to it and actually helped it, or do you think it's spread it a little thin and it's making it difficult for those that have been in it for a while?
Well, I can just share from my own experience that seeing a lot of the new rebinders come into onto the scene over the last 2, 3 years has not really affected my workflow flow. I've been busy as I've ever been over the last couple of years. And maybe part of that is because I got my foot into the door before the big influx. And so I was able to establish a reputation of my work. People know that and a solid customer base. But from what I've seen and talking even to a couple other rebinders about the same thing, they haven't really slowed down either. So it seems like there is still room for more rebinders to enter into the market, and there's people who want to have their Bibles rebound, and I have plenty of returning customers. So it hasn't affected me negatively in any way, and it's been cool to see what other people can come up with, other ideas, other designs, and unique ways of doing things. And so that is a plus to those who have been established for a while, maybe have a certain style to step out of their comfort zone and try something new.
Yeah. And like your coat of many colors, that was an epic Bible.
Yeah, that was an interesting idea that some people have asked me about before, but I knew just how much extra work it would be, and never I have always denied doing that kind of style. And then I guess just one day I was like, why not? I have a bunch of extra leftover leather to do. Let me do something unique. And I had extra time and put into that. And what's interesting, that Bible that I posted, it sold within 15 minutes.
I think that these new guys coming in also really have the veterans to thank, because you mentioned not having a lot of tutorial videos and you using your engineering skills, but these guys have a lot of work to look at. And I think you can agree that they're starting off faster now than
Yeah.
some of the engineers that had to really learn and walk through this thing and not have a whole lot of examples. These guys are coming out good out of the gate because of guys like you, guys like Jeff Rice, even later guys like John with ICA, which John broke the system. That guy just did some out of the box stuff right away, and it's really, I think, enhanced everybody, because I think
Yeah.
when one comes in that is good, it makes everybody better. And I'm really glad that you pointed, number one, that you pointed that out, that it's challenging people to be more innovative, and number two, it's really not hurting the market at all. It to me, I think it's creating more attention because there's more people involved. It's just like Skylar Bibles and Allen Bibles. Um, now we have Thomas Nelson in the game. We have Holman in the game, Humble Lamb in the game, and it's just bringing more attention than Premium Bibles has ever had. And that's good for you all as well, because the more people see Premium Bibles, they get in these Bible groups. That's how I discovered that reviews were a thing. And I'm sure that new rebinders are thankful for OGs like yourself and Jeff and some of these early guys that came in the 2019s and 2020s when there was just a few of you and has really created this animal that is just massive at this point. I would say I see a new rebinder nearly every day, and it's wild that it's not hurting any of the industry. And I've had a couple of rebinders actually, and I'll go on record to say this. I've had a couple get upset with me because I'll review pretty much anyone. You know, if they want their work featured, it's like, yeah, I'll take a look. And I've had a few that get upset saying that it's hurting the overall scheme of things, but I've not seen that. It's just been a very rewarding experience to be able to see so many different craftsmen's work.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that video with Vitali and all the different aspects of how he became a rebinder and the effects that rebinders on the increase has had on the industry and how it really hasn't affected him at all. I'm at one of my favorite coffee shops, Vibe Coffee here. Just thought I'd sign out this way. God bless you. Keep calm. Jesus on. This is your Nicholas.